All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. I am your host, Kevin Bradley, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Kevin Gallagher. And today we're bringing you a very exciting guest with a massive event in his near future, and we can't wait to talk to him all about it. But before we do, very quick shout out to sponsors of the show, your friends and ours, No Judges Needed, your one-stop shop for all of your combat sports apparel. I'm talking rash guards, combat shorts, casual wear like hoodies, t-shirts, you name it. The list goes on, including gis, modeled by the incomparable Mr. Kevin Gallagher. Insert picture of said gi here. Now, you're looking at all these gis, the quality's there. The price might be a little high, but that's okay because we're here to help you out with a promo code. Type in the code JJT at checkout. It will net you a cool 20% off all purchases now and forever, which is an insane deal for what you're getting. When you buy from these guys, you're buying back into the community we all love. And right now, we all need to support each other as much as we can. The world's trying to squeeze us out with COVID. We're focused on an election. We need our jiu-jitsu. We need it, man. So go there. Let them know we sent you. You're helping us out. You're helping the show out. Everybody helping everybody. People help the people. All right. Ad read over. And now
can I just say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
You're so good at that, by the way. Remember me when you're famous one day, when you have this amazing, immaculate broadcasting career. Just remember the little people that got you started, okay?
Oh, yeah. So you'll be saying that, and you'll be on a vacation home on the moon because you'll be doing so many privates. One day the president's going to go, Kevin Gallagher, I need you to be the Secretary of Grappling for America, and then you're in charge of all the strangling that goes on in the United States.
Right. I'll take it.
I'll tell you, we might be famous one day. We're definitely going to be famous one day. But you know who's famous right now? Our guest. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Today, we welcome to the studio Polish BJJ black belt, UAE Grand Slam champ, and given how great this guy's hair is, potential L'Oreal hair model, your friend and ours, Adam Wardzinski. Adam, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing today?
Hey, very well. Thank you.
I got to ask, we're going to get all into jiu-jitsu, all into your upcoming match at Polaris. But before that, what's the hair routine look like? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little jealous.
To be honest, it's not very complicated, So when I'm taking shower in the gym, I take whatever there is and I'm putting it on my hair. And at home, I'm stealing my girlfriend's shampoo. And
it's always the best route. That's always the best way to go.
Yeah.
Girlfriends always have the best shampoo. You just steal their
That's true. That's true. I'm not even buying mine. I'm just taking hers.
They prefer it that way anyway. They just want your hair to be clean. Just use my shit.
Yeah.
Don't even buy it. Buy your garbage.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lie, Adam, as a guy who's wearing a hat because of how bald I'm getting, I'm pretty sure genetically you could put motor oil in your hair every day and it still look really good. So,
I hope it's going to stay like this, but you never know. Maybe next podcast you can see me balding. You never know. It can start anytime.
I was looking at your tattoo on your arm. That looks like some pretty nice work, man. That was on the right arm over there. I saw you when you flipped your hair up. Let me see that thing, the tattoo on your arm.
This
one, yeah, up in the corner there. The red one.
I got a balloon.
Oh, it's a new one. Yeah, that's nice, dude. That's nice.
Like a panther.
Look at that. Yeah, look at that.
I got I like the old schools, So
yeah.
Both hands tattooed, but I still have to finish those.
I'm in the process of a big one on this arm here. It's taking forever. It's beautiful, but it's when you get these big ones like this, literally you go sit in the chair and it's 5 hours and then you get done and you're like, holy shit, I have to do that 10 more times.
Yeah. And for me, the worst thing is whenever I'm getting another piece, the pain is more annoying than it used to be before.
Right.
So I don't know how's that working, but it's getting harder and harder.
You get over it. You get old, and you're like, I don't really give a shit about tattoos.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of them on this arm that are kind of cool. And then I have one of my clients. He's a big tattoo artist. He's like, Coach Kevin, you got to let me do a sleeve for you. And I was like, He's like, no. He can finally convince me to it. And then like, okay, cool. You get through the first session. Like, that's just the outline. We still got 30 hours to go. It's like, oh,
Jesus.
and now you got to do it. You can't be like, I think I'm done. You just got to keep going.
For me, the worst thing is healing, because
you miss training.
Yeah, because you can't just jump in and spar, you
Right.
have to, you can only drill and stuff like that. So you have to be like really conscious about that. And it has to be like super clean. So really no hard training. And that's a tough part for me because, right now it's a little bit more relaxed because of the COVID thing. But it used to be like I was always before some kind of tournament. I was always preparing myself for the tournament, or I was like just another event was just around the corner. So it's hard, It's hard to get those tattoos and heal them properly.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I see a lot of these guys in the UFC sometimes, and they've got like bodysuits, and I think to myself, how did this guy find time to get this tattoos and still enough time to train to make it in the UFC?
Yeah, but I think the case is like whenever you have a MMA fight, you're taking like 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off after the fight, so that's a perfect time for getting a tattoo. In jiu-jitsu, if you get into the routine, like competing routine, and you're like competing a lot, then it's hard to get some time.
Now,
I've been there for sure.
Real quick, this is about as off topic for jiu-jitsu. We have one of the best black belts on the planet right now, and all we've talked about is how hot he is and tattoo stuff, which is fine. I don't care. But I think we would be remiss if I think you guys are both uniquely qualified to maybe judge. UFC standout Kevin Lee just got a tattoo. Have either of you guys seen it?
No.
Okay, I want you to give me your thoughts on this bad boy right here.
Where is it, in the corner?
It's on
the head.
He got the whole back of his. He got the whole back of his head tattooed.
Can you pull just that one up so we can see that?
Yeah, hang on 1 second.
That looks. I mean, I can't say I'm opposed to the idea of a head tattoo. I just don't know if I can figure out what that composition is. It doesn't really look like it's any. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not really sure I'm getting what he was going for with that.
Hang on 1 second.
Is Kevin Lee always keeping his head bald? Because it only has sense if you're shaving your head bald.
Usually he has hair. Usually he's got a pretty like full head of hair. So maybe he's determined to keep it shaved so that you can see that thing.
Yeah,
it just looks very odd.
Yeah, the only thing I thought I could think of when I saw this was, oh my God, this looks like it hurt.
Probably it hurt. Is it a plate armor or what?
I think it might be plate armor. It's supposed to be some sort of.
You know what it kind of looks like? It looks like some kind of helmet. It kind of looks like an Aztec warrior. You know how the Aztecs used to have those little things on their head. They would tattoo their heads and things like that. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but I could see plate armor too. Hey man, a tattoo is yours, and you could do whatever you want to with it. No one's here to judge. You got it on your body. It's gonna be there forever, so you make the most of it.
Yeah, if he likes it.
If he likes it, I guess, right? If he likes it, I like it. That's about as political as we're gonna get on this one.
Okay,
I think you can probably kick his ass at him, so I can't talk as much shit about him as you can. So.
Ooh. Well, I mean, he did have trouble defending the ground attacks from Tony Ferguson during their fight, so that's definitely. What would you have you gotten the chance to roll with many like MMA guys, either in UFC or Bellator?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I roll with couple, and because we have some MMA guys fighting for Bellator, fighting for UFC here in Poland. So I roll with couple, and when I was preparing for ADCC, I was rolling with MMA guys a lot because, of course, it's a bit different rule set, and it favors wrestling guys. So I wanted to have those MMA guys around because they like wrestling base and they're not engaging so much. So yeah, I roll with some UFC KSW guys. KSW is like a big organization here in Poland, like probably the biggest one in Europe.
Yeah, I remember reading not too long ago about the growing BJJ and MMA culture in Poland, and they talked about how it's the next exploding area for top notch fighters. What do you think about that? What do you attribute that to?
I would say for sure we have like really tough people here, and like people are naturally tough.
Yeah.
Like Polish physique is like really strong people, like Slavic type, like Eastern Europe type. Uh, so we have also like a good background for fighting sports because wrestling was always a big thing in Poland, and judo was a really big thing. Obviously, we had like great judo champions like Paweł Nastula, who won Olympics in judo. Uh, so we got like a nice martial arts history, and jiu-jitsu is really growing here as well. I think it started with judo guys and wrestling guys. They got interested in jiu-jitsu, but to be honest, I think it's more because they were interested in MMA. Then they found out that jiu-jitsu in a gi and MMA is something really different, and it's split a little bit. But still, jiu-jitsu scene is really big here, and there's a lot of gyms, a lot of people training, and like I said, Polish people they love to fight, but I don't know what's the reason. It's hard to say actually, but we don't have so many people like really willing to go to the big stage, and I really don't know the reason. I really don't know the reason. And even if you look at the, for example, IBJJF European stats, like uh, representations of each country, Poland is never like on a first spot, or even like, I don't know, probably it's around 10th spot or something like that. And Poland is quite huge, so. I don't know. It's hard to say why. Maybe because of the money issue. Because Poland is like Eastern Europe. We're a little bit more poor, I would say, comparing to Western Europe. So maybe it's a little bit harder for us to travel and stuff like that. But really, like, I don't think that can be a reason. Just hard to say. I just hope it's gonna grow that way, not only on the local scene, because local scene is huge. We got like really big events here. For example, Polish nationals. It's only for Polish passport holders, and it's 1,400 competitors, 1,500. So that's a lot of people, you know. If we can take that energy and those people and put them in a big stage, that'll be awesome. I think also like we have to trust ourselves more and develop maybe a bit more confidence.
Do you think that BJJ started before MMA, or was it in Poland now, or was MMA growing and then people decided to shoot off of MMA because of that? Do you understand that? You follow what I'm talking about in that train of thought?
Yeah. So to be honest, I think it was really connected with each other. When Jiu-Jitsu came to Poland, it was like really connected one with each other, and you couldn't sometimes really say where's jiu-jitsu, where's vale tudo, and where's MMA. People were training all of those,
Right.
most of the people were like cross training, gi training and MMA training, gi training, a little bit of wrestling, boxing. So I think back in the days, it was like really connected thing, and it came to Poland together. And actually, jiu-jitsu was one of those tools I feel like it was missing. There was no ground fighting in Poland. Of course, there was like boxing and wrestling, but there was never a ground fighting. So that was like a missing puzzle. When that came, there was already some MMA events going on as well. So just to like promote jiu-jitsu, the first MMA fight was organized in Poland to promote jiu-jitsu actually. So it was a little bit like they did in US, right?
Yeah,
like
with the UFC and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a
How
more
long
giant
ago?
tool.
How long ago do you think? I'm just curious, just because I know I've heard of legit fighting in Poland. That's kind of a thing that people talk about. Like there's some super legit jiu-jitsu in Poland. How long do you think? Obviously, you from Poland, so hell, But how long do you think this explosion of jiu-jitsu in Poland has been going on? When do you think like the time frame of a lot it started was?
I think that the whole thing started like around 20 years ago.
Oh, so a while ago then.
Yeah. Around the 2000, maybe 1999.
Oh,
something like
shit.
that.
So that's similar to the U.S. Maybe a little bit earlier in the U.S., but similar like time.
No, like the U.S. was a little bit earlier in the 90s.
Yeah,
but I mean
so.
about the same thing.
Yeah.
We're not talking. I was thinking like 2010, maybe the last 10,
No.
12 years. It's been a while. Yeah.
No, 2010, it was like really established. I started to train in 2010. Mm-hmm. And actually, like the biggest grow, and like I don't know how we can call that, like really bringing the Polish scene close to the world scene, like seminars, Brazilians coming to teach, people from US, from all over the world coming to hold the camps, international competitions, like more people traveling for jiu-jitsu. I think it started at like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I think it's also connected with the development of Polish, like let's say how much people can earn and how much they can spend.
Economy, the whole Poland,
I
Poland,
think it's kind of connected with the economy, because our economy was on the rise, so you could see like way more people traveling and traveling for competition, or traveling just to train somewhere, started to be like a thing.
Yeah, and then that kind of corresponds, 5-6 years ago, maybe a little bit sooner than that. But that also kind of corresponds with the explosion of what we see as professional jiu-jitsu on the whole. And I remember when I read that article, it's been a few years since I read that. I think it was around the times that one of the worlds came out. They were talking about how the Polish, Poland is a new epicenter for jiu-jitsu in Europe, and all these great Polish jiu-jitsu fighters and things like that. And I was just curious about how it all started, because I think about how jiu-jitsu is spread around to the different regions that it's now become a part of. And that's interesting to know that Poland has been that established for that long.
Yeah, I gotta bring this up just because I feel like a lot of, like, even you, Adam, seem surprised a little bit that jiu-jitsu and martial, like MMA, has grown as fast as it has in Poland. Let me tell you the one fact that I know about Poland, the one fun fact. You guys are, to my knowledge, the only nation that's ever enlisted an actual bear to join your army during World War II. You guys had a bear as a member of your military, and he was doing stuff. Yeah. You had a bear mauling Nazis.
He was working, like he was holding ammo.
Yeah, he was holding. You guys hired a bear, and you paid the bear money to kill Nazis and help reload guns to kill Nazis. In no way am I surprised you guys are good at beating the crap out of people.
It's kind of a general consensus amongst old school dudes that like the Poles are tough.
You guys have the heavyweight champion of the UFC. Like,
that's true. The strong man too, Putinowski, the world's strongest man.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you see, there's like Polish people everywhere. You can see some of Polish people everywhere. And funny thing, like whenever you travel around the Europe, whatever gym you're gonna visit, there's always gonna be some Polish guys there training and being crazy about jiu-jitsu more than any other people. Actually,
I have a good friend of mine. That's Polish, and we love talking to him. He's just an awesome dude. I wish he was around. He's a good dude. I can't remember his damn name, and that's gonna make me crazy. But
shout out to Kevin's Polish guy.
Shout out to my Polish friend.
Well, I think it's great to get insights onto how jiu-jitsu is spread in different parts of the world. It's really well documented how it came to like America. It's very well known. You know, the Gracies came up here, helped set up the first UFC, whatnot. But I would love to know more about your specific journey into martial arts, specifically because of how hard it was for a lot. We had a fellow Polaris guy, Frederick Voskruner, on a few episodes ago, and he talked about how his first professor was a purple belt, you know, and it was very like lower belts scrounging together, like around like gathering what scraps of jiu-jitsu they could. How did you find your way into the art? Were you always into martial arts of some kind, or did you find it a little later?
So the thing is that I always kind of regret that I get to martial arts that late, because I was always into competing, and like I love to like wrestle with my friends, like take them down and hold them down, stuff like that. Like this is how the kids play, right? Like they wrestle each other. So I really love that, and I was always interested in like grappling stuff. I haven't been like interested in kickboxing, boxing. Was always like wrestling, judo, taking people down, stuff like that. So as a like a kid, early teenager years, I wanted to go to wrestling, but my parents thought that wrestling can be a bit dangerous for me, and sometime later they told me that maybe I want to try with Aikido, and I was like, okay, let's go. Why not? And I got like for teenager that I wasn't really like super in shape, super flexible, super strong, or any of that. I barely could do a front flip.
All I had was perfect hair and good looks. That was terrible.
Not even that. So I said, yeah, why not? So I did that for a couple years, and first I really got hooked up by that, but after a while I was like kind of there was something missing, you know. There was something missing, like and the missing puzzle was a competition, you know, because Aikido is only about like techniques and making the technique look better, look more dynamic, stuff like that, but there's never like fighting or sparring, nothing like that, you know. So that was the missing thing. So I thought like, okay, I'm gonna give a shot to jiu-jitsu. So when I went for the first time, I was 18, and I went for my first class, and I fell in love. You know, like I really loved it, and I really loved how how technique looked, how easy was for me to learn those techniques, and how I saw like training by training, I could see like my development. Like I was getting better in cardio. I was getting stronger. My technique was getting better. I was able to like spar on a nice level with the better guys. So it's a normal thing at the beginning. You know, you can see your development, like your fast development, and it motivates you.
Yeah, man. You know, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and after a while, I thought like, okay, I want to do that like more often. So I started to train every day, and then I was like just slowly adding more classes, more training. So I end up training like whenever I can, like 2-3 times a day.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that because again, we talk about this all the time, and coming from a black belt, you've been around long enough to understand this concept too. It's the thing that always separates jiu-jitsu from other martial arts is the sparring, is the rolling, the fact that we can do things live over and over and over again. And you know, when you take the differences between Aikido and jiu-jitsu, and you think about gauging yourself to see your growth, like it's difficult in a stylized martial art like Aikido, where you're just, you know, you can see, oh, cool, I got a little more height. My technique was perfect when I threw the flip and everything was cool, but it's very ceremonial. You know, when you're actually, when like you kicked my ass last week and you kicked my ass for the last 6 months, and then all of a sudden I get better than you, like that is a tangible level of success. Like you can say, hey, wow. And it's not because the instructor bowed and said, oh, your kickflip was much better this time. No, like I beat you this time. I held you down. I submitted you. I won X, Y, Z. And there's a very real satisfaction that comes from that. The growth.
That's true. That's true. And the other thing is like you can do that every day. You can do that even twice a day.
Right.
And that's a very nice thing. And it's very different from boxing or kickboxing. You can't spar every day because you're gonna get broken really fast, and you just can't. In jiu-jitsu is different. You can every day you can go there, spar hard, rest, then go again, and this is how most of the guys are doing, right?
Yeah.
I got a potentially like weird question for you, and if you don't remember anything, feel free to just ignore it. But sorry about that. I feel, and this is something I've wanted to ask experienced black belts we've had on, but I keep forgetting to do it. Is that I feel like everybody kind of remembers the first time they lock in a choke, like that's like some sort of neck choke, and they get the gurgle sound. It's just like the first time you do the move so good, so fast that just an unnatural sound emanates from the guy you're rolling with. Do you remember? Does anything like that stick out to you? Like, do you have any memories of early successes like that? The first time you're able to really know in your gut that you got the choke exactly right.
To be honest, I think it would be hard for me to remember because even when I was training Aikido, me and a couple friends, they were also like kind of unsatisfied with what Aikido is offering. So we started to roll a little bit. We started to watch a little bit of like YouTube techniques. So we already knew some like basic chokes and stuff. So it's hard for me to remember when did I lock like a really nice choke on a training. But for sure, I remember my first victory with a choke at the competition. That's something probably you can't forget. Like it was my first actually submission victory. So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, I had.
What was it?
Remember.
I was a Polish nationals. So my first competition didn't go my way. I went there. I was like super nervous, and it wasn't like really good fight. Like we fought the whole distance, 5 minutes, and it was like a really nice pace. But after I stepped out of the mat, I didn't know what happened. Like I couldn't remember like single move that I did there. It was just like scrambling all the time, and we were so nervous and so stressed that I couldn't remember anything. So I lost that one, I think by 2 points or something like that. And then after that, I went to Polish nationals, and I was able to win, I think, 4 fights. So that was like I got bronze. And even though I didn't want the whole thing, it gave me a lot of motivation, and the taste of victory. It's something you can't forget, and you're always gonna miss that.
Yeah, man. I remember my first submission in a competition. I remember my first submission ever too was against this kid Devin Rodriguez. I caught him in an arm bar from the mount, and like he was a blue belt and I was a white belt at the time, and I was just so freaked out that I actually had a submission that I just pulled this thing, and he was like tapping and screaming, and I was like, ah, and he was like, dude, he was also slightly irritated because he got caught by a white belt, so he had to be like, hey bro, like what's going on, dude? And I was just like so excited. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know, I felt so excited. But I had a guy in competition one time that was he showed up. It was funny. We were going. It was my first submission in a competition. I had him in a rear naked choke, and I had him, and he tapped, and then I got off him, and he was like, I didn't tap, and the ref was like, oh no. He clearly tapped. So the ref was like, okay, well, we're gonna restart it. So he literally like restarted with me with the rear naked choke, with him flat on the ground with the rear naked choke in, and the ref was like, go. And dude, he was tapping and tapping. I squeezed that thing. They had to pull me off like Khabib getting pulled off of Conor McGregor. It was, anyway, I'm sorry about that. It's about you. It's a good story.
No worries. That's a cool story.
Anyway. So I got a quick one for you. Then we could talk about your matches and talk about Polaris, because I'm jealous of you. I've always wanted to be on Polaris. It's such an awesome freaking event. I just think it's the coolest event going. You get a trip to London. They do such a good job at Polaris. I just love what they do there. So did just curiously, so you had a pretty established Aikido background, and the lines of like connection I'm trying to draw here, or parallels I'm trying to draw here, is to see if like even training in a martial art that doesn't necessarily offer the sparring, does it still hold any kind of credibility and credence? Did you feel like any of the things that you learned in Aikido have become a part of your game in Jiu-Jitsu, even if it's from like a psychological point of view, maybe some grips or some throws, or any of the things that you learned that now, because you were working at a high level, that you start to incorporate or remember when you're doing Jiu-Jitsu?
So to be honest, not really. Like if we talk about like a pure technique or grip, not really, because I think it's such a traditional martial arts, and it has its background in assault fighting, samurai stuff, things like that, like really traditional martial arts from Japan. So it's really hard to transfer that into jiu-jitsu. Right. But what I feel is it gave me like the conscious of my body, like I knew how leg is bending, how arm is bending. This way it's bending, this way not. So okay, probably if I want to hurt somebody, I have to do this, or like bend it that way or that way. So like body mechanic, some muscle memory, a bit cardio. Those are the things that the Aikido gave me for sure. but I can't really say that techniques from Aikido can transfer to Jiu-Jitsu. That's kind of not possible, I think. This is just how I feel. Maybe somebody will disagree, but there's also like different Aikido styles. The one that I was training, I can't say I'm able to use those techniques at the Jiu-Jitsu sparring. No way.
The only time I've ever really heard it even attempted, we had a former Aikido black belt, current like MMA fighter media person on YouTube named Rokas from Lithuania, Rokas Leonavičius. He's he runs this channel called Martial Arts Journey on YouTube, and we had him on. The link to the full episode will be down below, and he talked a lot about the cognitive dissonance that exists in Aikido and how he went in hoping that I could make Aikido better by like incorporating some like wrist locks, because they do a lot of that stuff. But he came away kind of discouraged that it's just not there. You know, you need to tear down the entire structure in order to make it better. And the people in Aikido, like the higher ups of the sport, are not really interested in that happening. You know, that was something that he ran into.
No way. It's, you know, like traditional martial arts stay traditional, and we couldn't do much about that. I think it has to be that way. You know, you want to. I think if you're like thinking straight, thinking right, you're not gonna train Aikido for, I don't know, cage fighting or self-defense. You're gonna train Aikido just because you like the form, you like how it looks. You know, it's some kind of art. You know, like dancing. Right. It's more of a dance than martial arts for me, to be honest.
I always say that about martial arts when I talk about like old, like stylized martial arts like that. You know, I can kind of group in, you know, like Krav Maga kind of in that same, maybe not the same idea. I can see what you're talking about, like when you talk about like symbols and shit like that, or symbolic and shit like that, but formal. But you know, when you're training martial arts, nothing's useless. Like there are aspects of it that are, you know, somehow if you twist the wrist the wrong way, maybe you can get a little flip out of it. Like if it comes up, you're not training something that's not going to ever be useful to you. But it's all about training 101 full go. If you're not doing things 101 full go, you're not really preparing yourself, because it doesn't matter how many times you try to take a knife out of somebody's hand until they're trying to kill you with that knife. It just ain't the damn same thing. And I don't care what anybody has to say about it. So I got one. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I got one more question. I know we're running a little late. I just Googled you, so now I'm not an asshole. And I was like, oh fuck, now I know who the fuck you are.
On that note, I do have to just say, I do it. We ran a little late to start, and I did have a hard out at 4, so I am actually going to take.
Let me talk to Adam for a little bit. I'll cut it off.
Yeah, no. I will just bounce. Adam, thank you so much for joining us here. I appreciate this.
Sorry, man. No big deal, man. Sorry, I feel like an asshole because I knew who you were, and I googled. Oh shit, that's who it is. I mean, I followed a couple of your matches. You're
nice.
Amazing, man. You had a good performance at ADCC. I see you a lot in the worlds and stuff like that. So what I want to talk to you about, because now that I know who you are, I want to talk to you about the butterfly guard, because one of the things that I always think about when I talk about learning jiu-jitsu at the next level. And when I say that, I mean learning jiu-jitsu aside from static positions. Because anyway, you work in closed guard, you know, you have a static control over someone. So I can kind of force things to happen. When you're working a half guard, same thing. I can kind of force and manipulate things to happen.
That's true.
But when you start playing butterfly guard, you have to have an intuition. You have to be able to kind of wait and like maneuver and force your opponent to kind of take off steps and work through to that situation. You follow what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
Tell me a little bit about what you believe separates butterfly guard and kind of helps practitioners get to that next level? Because what I always tell them, like when I have guys that come in and say, you know, I got blue belts and maybe early purple belts, and they want to try to get to that brown belt. They want to start working on timing and next level type aspects of jiu-jitsu. And I tell them, hey, play your open guard. Learn to retain your guard from open guard. Learn to wait for things to happen and anticipation of what your opponent does from your butterfly guard. Tell me about some of the things that you feel make butterfly guard so important in that step.
So I think, first of all, like, I feel like butterfly guard is a next step after opening up your guard. So there's like a closed guard and half guard, and then there's a butterfly guard. So it's like open guard, but still you keep your opponent really close. And it has its pros and cons. And the worst thing is, like, your opponent is really close, so there's no space for mistake. Whenever you make mistake, you get smashed, your legs are getting smashed, and he's gonna land on your side. So first thing, you have to be really precise. And second thing, you always have to maintain the right distance. You can't let your opponent come too close, but you don't want him also to get far from you. So you always have to stay active. You're actively working with the distance and actively working with the angles. And just because the distance is so small, you have to do that like really precise and really quick when you have to, of course. Because if your opponent is like stalling, not moving much, you can relax a little bit and wait for the right time to start the action, you know. But if he's moving, if he's passing, then you have to like work all the time. So most of the time I can see people like giving up on hooks whenever things are going south and they're losing a little bit. Then they starting to like panic, giving up a little bit and making a space for the opponent. And I feel like you always have to be like persistent, and even if something goes wrong, you have to develop tools to put your opponent back in your guard, so to regain the guard. Those are like the major things. I think they are very important when playing the guard, you know, like proper angles, proper distance, and active work towards maintaining them, or getting like new angles, new distance whenever opponent disengage or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot in that. Like one of my, again, I teach a lot of private lessons. I teach private lessons freaking all day long. I got guys that come up to me, you know, that want to take private lessons from me, shit like that all day long. And one of the things that one of the biggest questions that I get from guys are questions about guard retention. You know, hey, Coach Kevin, I want to work on my guard retention. I want to work on, you know, the concepts of guard retention and getting your feet back to hips again and coming back up to your base are very similar to the concepts of playing open guard or butterfly guard. So eventually what I tell them is, okay, well now, you know, guard retention, it's not really a technique. It's just like a philosophy. It's a few little things we can do, but it's the idea.
Yeah, it's more of a concept.
More of a concept. It's the idea of getting back to that position to where you're actually in a guard and you actually have to be in that butterfly guard position. One of the things I hope to talk about when I heard you talk about controlling the range is I always tell people, dictate the terms of the engagement. So if my opponent is coming in, I put my feet up to keep him coming towards me. I control that. If he's going away, I put hooks in the back to slow him down, to keep him off base. You never allow your opponent to do what he wants to do. And through simple feet to hips, or around the hips, or hooking around the legs, or grabbing a grip, I'm slowing him down. And eventually, they screw up and make a mistake. And through those mistakes, you're looking to capitalize off of those mistakes.
Yeah, of course. You're always looking for the dominance, like dominant grips, dominant controls with your feet. That's true.
Yeah, I love open guard. That's one of the things that I would like. I literally can't tell you how many times a day I've told, you know, and not just for me. I play a lot of deep half guard, but that's just I'm just old now. I can't. I don't have it in me. You know what I mean? Against a high level guy, like I can play open guard for a little bit, but my old ass just can't keep up with it anymore. So I got to grab
This
onto
is the thing.
something.
Sometimes you can get there and just rest a little bit.
Yeah, take a deep breath. Hold on for a second.
Yeah, they can't do much. They can't be really fast in this position.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah, exactly. And then
true.
you know, deep half guard kind of has a hybrid feel to it. Like it's not quite a closed guard or a half guard where I have a big static control on someone, and it's not really open guard because I'm flowing underneath and I'm still maintaining control and allowing my opponent to do the things that he wants to do. And cap, if he goes this way, I got this. Because that way, I got this. But there's still those moments where I can, all right, cool, I'm just going to hold on to this leg or get a grip and just take a deep breath and kind of move on and stuff like that.
That's true.
That's cool, man. Like I'm glad I got to talk to you about that because it's something that I've always like thought about. It's something that I always pick my brain apart, the concepts of working from open guard, because it's important for jiu-jitsu practitioners to start to learn it, because that's how you learn timing. That's how you learn to set traps. That's how you learn to anticipate what your opponent is doing, as opposed to trying to you're not. And jiu-jitsu is about more than just implementing your game. It's about understanding what your opponent is trying to do to make him make mistakes or capitalize off of his movements.
Yeah, that's true. It's like jiu-jitsu is complicated, and you have to understand a lot of things to get good in jiu-jitsu. And sometimes people think like jiu-jitsu is about applying techniques. So you're gonna learn one technique and you're gonna apply that technique. But actually, it's never about the technique. It's always about the concept. It's always about the right timing, and it's always about like proper angle. And if you understand those things, you can apply one technique from like 100 different like positions, options, stuff like that. If you just take technique as a just like one piece of knowledge without any connection to anything else, then your game is going to be like really limited.
Yeah, I always say that a lot too. Like, you know, when you get your purple belt, like you know jiu-jitsu, there's not going to be too many more techniques that pop up that you haven't seen before, that you haven't really looked at before. You might have forgotten about them. You might have just moved on and put them out of your brain because you felt like it didn't really work for you. But you know, as you go up towards black belt, you're not really learning new techniques at this point. You're learning when and how and why to implement those techniques to get yourself onto those elite level belts.
That's true. But on the other hand, to be honest, even at the like black belt level, I was able to implement some like very nice stuff and nice concepts. But I'm going to agree with you that those concepts existed in my brain, but I never gave them a shot. You know, I was waiting for probably right time for that. And most of the time, the right timing means that some friend of mine is showing me that technique. And I'm like, it's very good. I never gave it a shot, but it's very good.
Yeah, you're like, I remember that from 4 years ago when I was a blue belt, and I was like, oh, that won't work for me because my legs are too long, or my arms are too short, or I'm too fat, or I'm too skinny, right? And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can figure out a way to kind of piece that in, and that's just about getting better. Because when you're a blue belt, purple belt, it's all about winning. You got to win everything. When you're a purple belt, I got to win. I can't take time on shit that don't work for me because that doesn't work for me. I'm going to do the 5 things that I know because that's what works for me. But then when you start to realize that jiu-jitsu is about learning how to get better at jiu-jitsu, and that means you don't have to win every roll because who gives a shit? I'm going to lose here and there. Maybe I get my guard passed. That's fine. That's when you start to refine these new positions and learn how to make them work for you and figure out ways to implement them in your game.
That's true. That's true. This is what happened to me with, for example, with single leg X. I always knew that the position exists, and I always knew how the position looks, but I was never like really into that until my friend Tiago Sa came to Poland, and I organized a seminar with him. He's like a single leg X God specialist. He ran a really nice seminar, and I was like, I can connect that with my butterfly. Whenever somebody stands up and I'm not able to bring him down again, I can use single leg X. And I'm using single leg X now.
How important, we talked about single leg X, and it's hard to not bring up single leg X and not talk about Marcelo Garcia. And in particular, when we talk about the concepts of open guard, I always think about Marcelo Garcia as the pioneer of, people don't give him enough credit of literally molding what modern jiu-jitsu has become. Because before Marcelo Garcia, everything was closed guard, half guard, working for those static positions and flowing things in one direction. Then Marcelo Garcia came along and started playing butterfly guard, and people were like, oh my God. How much has Marcelo Garcia influenced your game?
I would love to say a lot, but it's not true actually. I mean, my first coach, Karol Matuszak, was introduced me to butterfly guard, and also butterfly guard came to me like really naturally for different reasons, and some of those reasons were the type of my sparring partners. So most of the time was like heavy guys, really strong guys, but back in the days, passing on the knees was a thing, especially in Poland. I think like the world scene was already like more passing on the feet, but in Poland, like everyone was passing on the knees back in the days.
Pressure passing, holding the hips.
Yeah, exactly. And it worked fine for the big and strong guys. So to deal with those guys, I had to use butterfly guard, because whenever I put them in a close guard, I wasn't able to move much. And whenever I put like some kind of like a long distance guard, they were able to break the guard really easy, because whenever I stretch my leg a little bit more, they lose power. But if I keep them banded in a butterfly guard, I'm able to hold like really like bigger and stronger opponent. So it came to me really naturally, and of course I took some concepts from Marcelo, and some concepts I came up with some concepts, and then I saw the same concept or really like similar concept in his game, but also like my butterfly guard game and his butterfly guard game are a little bit different, I feel, and it's not the same butterfly guard actually.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't mean it in that way. Maybe I asked the question the wrong way because I'm dumb. But the point I was trying to make is like the influence of Marcelo Garcia on playing open guard in general over that period of time when he started doing those things is relevant. I think about that a lot.
That's true.
When I think about all the leg locks and people coming up, inside ashis and all these things like that, the fancy Japanese words they use, is like Marcelo Garcia was doing that before anyone even knew what an ashi was. Back before those days.
I think it's right now everything is about how you deal with social medias, how you can communicate with people through social medias, and what's your like selling skill, how can you sell your thing,
right?
I don't feel like Marcelo is the selling genius. He's a jiu-jitsu genius, but probably, I mean, like MG in Action is one of the biggest like online schools out there, probably. But still, I feel like there's like a new generation of teachers already here, and the like marketing skill is way better, and whatever sells.
Yeah, I get that all the time. I love watching Instagram videos and things like that. I don't give a shit. Like if you've got the hustle to put your product out there. I'm not mad at you. Congratulations. You know, I'm happy for you. But I always see these guys and they show these new techniques and these new way they do things. And I'm like, you know, that's pretty cool, but it's really just a different entry from a different spot into the same thing.
True.
That, you know, like it's.
But on the other hand, it's still like, if it can help somebody and if people are ready to buy it, then that's okay, you know.
I used to get mad about that. Oh, this guy putting stuff out there. Like, you know what, man? If you can make a living, you can get people, and you're putting a good product out. And most of these guys are. Like, most of them are putting out good product that is helpful and
you have to
good for
put
the
a
community.
good product, because if you put a bad quality product, you're not gonna sell. You know?
Right.
That's a thing. That's a thing. And like you said, I think everyone is like looking for their way to sell the product. That's why sometimes we overdo with the big words, like, you know, like new thing, new god, stuff like that.
Yeah, they just want, you know, everyone wants to people love to act like they've invented something new. And yeah, maybe they did. They put a new name on and they have it different, but it's really like, it's the same fucking jiu-jitsu, bro. Same jiu-jitsu they were doing in Japan 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's just the same shit, man. So let me ask you a quick question real quick. And we'll go ahead and wrap it up, because I know we're getting going. It's getting close to that hour mark. But tell me a little bit about your match coming up in Polaris. What do you have coming up on the horizon?
So it's a team competition. So it's team Europe versus team UK, and the groups are divided. It's like light group and heavy group, fighting with each other. Whoever gets more submission wins win the event. So from both sides, from European side and from United Kingdom side, there are like really tough competitors, really nice names, and like I said, like 2 days ago, I was like answering an interview, and I was asked about Team UK and how do I see the things. I feel like Polaris did a really good job in collecting European team, because they pick like the hot names from Europe, people who already got to the big stage, and they got some like precious medals from IBJJFs, AGPs, whatever, ADCC, all the big events. And Team UK, I feel, is not that much decorated, but still they are like super tough guys. I thought like all of those guys from the heavy part of the team, like minus 95 kilos, I fought those guys, and I know how tough they are. So yeah, it's gonna be hard, you know, like for sure. Strategy is gonna be a key factor here, and I feel like strategy is very important in this kind of team tournaments, because you have to know when you should be more aggressive, when you should stall a little bit to take the guy out from the competition, and you know, who should fight who, all of those things, you know. So for me, it's making the whole event more exciting and more fun as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these team events. I always love when you have Team X versus Team Y. because it builds to the dramas, particularly now when there's strategic aspects to who goes against who, and you think about those concepts when you're trying to win it as a team, because it becomes more than just, there's still obviously individual efforts going against each other, but you're winning for your team. You've got 4 or 5 guys together on a team that are pulling for each other and trying to take.
True. And it's also something fresh for jiu-jitsu. That's also a nice thing, something different than we are used to watch. So it's always good. I think like jiu-jitsu people, like events organizers, they're always like looking for ways to make it more exciting. So there's like, a lot of like rule sets, and that's just a new rule set, and I think it's a very, very good one. I'm just wondering if the time limit of 5 minutes is that gonna be enough to get many subs, because 5 minutes for no gi wasn't enough, and there was only one submission, if I remember that right. So let's see how's that gonna work for the gi, But as we know, it's easier to stall in the gi, and the pace of the match is usually a little bit slower. So yeah, I'm just wondering.
No, I can see that, because what they have the same gripes about when they talk about Submission Underground, the one with Chael Sonnen that's in Oregon in the States. And I love the format. I think it's an awesome format. I like the idea of it. I still would like longer matches, but the goal is in a 5-minute match. If you only got 5 minutes, you just got to go for shit. You got to sell out. You got to make things happen. You got to create things. And that is more difficult in the gi when you start talking about grips, to be able to just say, I'm just going to sell out and be explosive and go for things, because with grips, it's hard to do that. The game is a little bit slower, and 5 minutes does make it kind of tough. But I mean, hell, I love gi matches. I don't give a shit. I'll watch a gi match go all day long. People talk about, oh, gi's this, gi's that. It's boring. I don't give a shit. I love gi. I love watching gi matches.
Yeah, what I think is, like, people say this and that, especially now, because like many people fall in love and like submission only, no gi, ADCC rules, all those things. I think it's always about the styles. Styles make the matches, and some matches are always gonna be exciting. Doesn't matter if it's gi, no gi, submission only, and some matches are just meant to be not exciting, and that's it. Doesn't matter which rule set you're gonna pick, still they're not gonna be exciting.
Well, I know that you are a very exciting grappler, and I look forward to seeing you on Polaris. I just love Polaris. I think it's just a good event, man. I just one of my dreams. I'm getting old now. I ain't got it in me no more.
It is.
One of my dreams is to be on Polaris before it's all done, but I think I might have to let that one go by the wayside. Maybe you can put a good word in for me. You got like an old man division they can throw me in and find some old tough English dude.
Maybe after this podcast, they're gonna like hear and think about it.
You never know. Maybe no.
Yeah,
I got a guy on the inside now.
I just hope that like there's gonna be more organizations like this in Europe, because right now, when this COVID thing's happening, there's always something going on in the US, and if you want to fight, you can fight almost every weekend, because there's like events all over the place. Here in Europe, it's kind of empty. We have right now just Polaris, and that's it. So what I think is would be nice to have somebody else here as well.
Yeah, it makes me sad, particularly in your instance, as someone that's as amazing as grappler as you are, when we talk about the explosion of professional jiu-jitsu in the States. Like, I would love to see you on some of these big cards, these fight to win cards, some of these big games, because I think you
don't have to.
I think you're competitive enough to hold the place there and put on exciting matches. And all the COVID, man, COVID's just making everything bad. I don't think we got much longer though. I think we got maybe another 3-4 months at the most, 6 months at the most before they figure out a way to make things happen.
Hope so. I'm not getting any younger, so.
No, I hear you. Well, Adam, man, Dude, I'm mad. I'm so busy and such a ding dong. I wish I would have put the time in to do a little bit of research before, because I would have loved to talk to more to you about the.
No worries, we can do another one.
Yeah, for sure,
we can always do another one.
You're a smart cat, man. I love talking to jiu-jitsu about guys that know jiu-jitsu, man. You definitely know jiu-jitsu, and I appreciate your time and input. When's your fight scheduled for?
November 7th.
Oh shit! There it is. There we go. This Saturday. All right, there we go.
Yeah,
one more thing I probably should have researched before I got on the show, right?
Yes, sir.
Guys at home, if you want to check out Adam this weekend on Polaris in the European versus Eastern Europe championships, give it a shout out, man. Go check him out on Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass, because Adam's awesome and he's a good dude. And I'm sure there's going to be some amazing jiu-jitsu matches on that card. Thank you so much for your time. Anything you want to shout out? Any sponsors? Thing you want to talk about before we go?
Thanks to my sponsor, Shiro. You guys making great stuff, and I appreciate working with you.
Cool, man. Well, guys, we're going to call it.
Me. Awesome.
No, man. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Like, you're a good dude. This was, like I said, this was a fun interview for me to have. And I'm going to be in contact with you. I'm going to get your information from Kevin, and maybe I can hit you up. I do a couple other things. Maybe I can get you on to do another show. We could talk a bit more on there.
Nice. Yeah, let's do it.
Go kill it this weekend, man.
Thank you.
For the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast, I have been Kevin Gallagher. My co-host, Kevin Bradley, had to leave a little early. But we had Adam Wardzinski on today. He was an awesome guest. He's going to compete this weekend at Polaris. Go check it out, UFC Fight Pass. I'm Kevin Gallagher, Jiu-Jitsu Times. We're out. Boom. We'll see you next time.
See you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, be good, brother, man.